Geopolitics and Empire is joined by Mario Zna, or Mario Knows, host of the amazing Mario Zna Podcast in Serbia and Nulta Tačka.rs. Dobrodošli u podcast, Mario.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Krove. I'm very pleased to be your guest tonight. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I love your podcast. I listen to it. But first of all, I have to say, you have an amazing mustache.
Oh, yeah. I know. I will get around in Mexico for sure. I know. I will be like a local guy. Am I right?
They'll mistake you for Pancho Villa. And second of all, I have to mention. Recently you did a rare English interview on your Serbian podcast with this Gunther guy. And, I followed Gunther when he only had 5,000 followers. And initially he followed me back, but then he realized I was anti-globalist. And this Gunther guy, he's a total NATO bot. And I think that episode, people should go back and listen to it. For me, it's a cult comedy classic. And just what was your afterthought, of that interview?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I have to say that I have listened to your podcasts and to your interviews, and I would be really happy if the the public, the people who are watching this, to know that English is not my native language. So basically, you will have sometimes some kind of pauses for me, because I switched to Eastern European languages like Polish or Czech or Russian, because it's more closer to Serbia, but I think people will understand me. So when it comes to Mr. Fehlinger, as I like to say, Mr. Fehlinger, he's a funny guy. I knew that he would accept an interview on my channel, because I saw that his personality is like, okay, I will go basically everywhere, just film me. That's that kind of guy who likes to be filmed. Doesn't matter if he's going to become, I don't know, like a viral clip after his interview or something. But two of us had a conversation, and I don't prepare for my conversations. From yourself, the podcast, you talk to people, you have the similar opinion, or people basically know what are you talking about, and what he's going to think about that team or think about that situation. And for me, it was an experiment, and I think that experiment passed. And as I said to him via camera, via Zoom, I would love to have an interview with him personally. That will be great for me and him to sit together at the same table and talk about the other stuff. We don't have to talk about his grandparents being Nazis. We don't have to talk about him wanting to put Serbians to tests in Austria, if they will pass or they will be deported, or put the wall around Serbia. We don't need to talk. We don't need to talk about those kind of Nazi ideas, but we can talk about something else, and I think it will be great. For me, after the interview, for him, I wish that there was more Gunther, guys like Gunther, because people can then see the real face of democracy, the real face of so-called European democracy, when they tell us about human rights, basic human rights, that we have right to walk freely, to work, to go to school, to be whoever we want to be. But when you are different than them, that's the time when those rights are not allowed. That's the time when those rights don't exist for you, because you think different. And that was the goal, for people to see that European Union and such organizations like that union are just democracy on paper, and democracy doesn't exist in practice.
Yeah, and Gunther he's like out of a cartoon. He's a comical cartoon character. And since you brought up EU, that was one of my questions, and maybe start there. I happen, as a Croatian citizen, I happen to be an EU citizen. I know Serbia is on the outskirts, but even before Croatia joined the EU, from the beginning, knowing history, I was being anti-globalist myself, anti-empire, anti-NATO. I was always anti-European Union. In Croatia, some of us call it Euroslavia. The Soviet dissidents call it New European Soviets. There's evidence that Brussels has Nazi roots. I wish the EU would just peacefully disintegrate and all of our countries would become republics. What do you think? And what do Serbs think about EU?
Well, the situation in Serbia right now is really bad for European Union promotion or promotion of their goals, because let's take an example. In year 2007, 2008, 2009, European Commission gave a lot of money to NGOs in Serbia to promote the basic human rights, so-called human rights, to Serbian people, and to basically brainwash people, telling them that you Serbians, you are bad guys. You have to accept that you are bad guys, that you committed genocide, that you did this and you did that, and you are the worst. And when you accept that, and when you accept that our basic goals, then you're going to become a member of European Union. That was in year, as I said, 2007, 2008, 2009, 10, 11. And the polls in that time showed that 50% people were interested in joining European Union. Now, since 2014, but now since 2020, since the start of the COVID hysteria, and now since the start of the war in Ukraine, European Union was never so unpopular in Serbia. Basically, the polls are saying that around maybe 34% of people from Serbia are for joining European Union, and the rest is against it. Maybe 10% they don't know what they want, but the majority is against joining European Union. That's the first time since we made a contact with European Union officials in Brussels, in Serbia, basically became a democratic so-called state since the 2000s, since Slobodan Milosevic and George Soros and money and stuff like that. So they're really doing bad here. And I see also in Croatia, the people are telling to me. I do a lot of podcasts with people from Croatia, and I go regularly to Zagreb or to Dalmatia. I have a lot of friends there, and they are not happy, and they didn't want to join the EU. But they told me and I saw that when there was voting for joining European Union, that they never saw such a promotion, such a propaganda from the ruling party and the European Union to join. And so I think the European Union is ending, and that kind of politics are, as you said, Euroslavia. We had war here. Croats against Serbians, Serbians against Croats, to have our own states, our own culture, our own tradition and history. And we had bloodshed here at Balkans also with Bosnia and Herzegovina and Muslims and Serbians there and Croatians there. And now we dismantled that Yugoslavia in war, so we can live together again in some European Union. That doesn't have any logic to me. So, but you said that those people from Brussels, from Paris, from Copenhagen, Rotterdam, they don't know. It's the first time for them basically to live like that. We went through that. We don't need another war here. We can live in peace. We don't need to love each other, Croatians and Serbians, and I don't know, to write poems about each other and saying, but we need to have respect among each other, and to see that kind of politics, that those people from that Brussels and those people from that Washington and from London brought that bloodshed to Yugoslavia, dismantled that country, and now, of course, bought everything that can be bought, destroyed all the industry at Balkans, and now they're going to bring us into European Union and give us money and give us millions of migrants, of course, from Pakistan and India and Afghanistan and Syria, because that's the European plan. That's they are not hiding it anymore. So who needs European Union? And people here know, really, really, really good know that and notice the plans of Brussels and Washington and London. So, I think they're going to invest more money in propaganda here, but it's going so bad that I feel sorry for them. Really, I'm being objective here. It's going so bad that I'm feeling sorry for them. Really.
I agree with your assessment. And, earlier this year, we lost our national Croatian currency, the kuna. And for me, that hurt, because we've lost our sovereignty. Whether it's, if I would feel bad if Serbia lost its national currency, or Croatia, or anyone. It's like we are now puppets. And then, you mentioned London, Washington, Brussels. I wanted to get your thoughts on the globalism, this whole project of the Great Reset, and basically they want to create like this world government that's a technocracy. And we saw what happened from 2020 onward, where all countries worked together to impose these totalitarian measures. What's your view, and perhaps from the people in Serbia, of this project? Who are these people? What do they want?
Firstly, people have to know that the first protests, the first demonstrations against COVID lockdowns in the world happened in Belgrade, Serbia. Happened on 7th July in year 2020, when people came out on the main square in Belgrade, and had a big fight that lasted 3 days with police. Since then, Serbia was never under lockdown. Serbian people didn't have any kind of COVID measures that were implemented in European Union states. Those states which are calling for human rights are taking away your human rights as soon as a cold hits during spring or autumn, locking down people, implementing measures that are similar, maybe the same, like those measures in China, that kind of stuff. And people start looking more around themselves in the year 2019, 2020, because maybe me and my colleagues who are doing podcasts are not, my podcast is, with my guest, I'm talking about global problems, geopolitics around the world, and we are looking always at Washington, looking at the USA, and also Moscow from the other side, in Berlin. And people learn that there isn't any American dream. The American dream doesn't exist anymore. Maybe it was in 80s, I don't know, in 70s, but American dream is American nightmare, and the same thing is in Europe. And then they started searching for the truth, and they found it. and now they are basically involved in spreading that truth, and that's like a disease, as those globalists say. It's like disease. These informations are disease. We have to fight those fake news, and it's getting more and more wider. People are getting to know the truth more faster. Also, the things that happen in the United States when we are talking about Donald Trump and his campaign in 2020, and the stuff that happened after the George Floyd death, and Black Lives Matter, and all these Soros organizations. People saw that we are not Serbia or Croatia are not the only victims of the so-called West. Okay, we call it here the West because the West is trying to implement their politics here. We don't see China. I don't like Chinese politics. I don't like organ harvesting. I don't like killing and imprisoning people, Uyghurs or some other kind of ethnic groups. But Chinese are not implementing their politics. They are not pushing their politics here at Balkans. They're only about business for now. If that kind of stuff comes, if they try to push their system here, they're going to go to the same hell as the Western propaganda is going right now. People in Serbia every single day are getting more awakened and getting to know more the situation in the world, and finally learning that we aren't the horror story of Europe as they try to show us to the world, as they told us for decades, and the other people around the world. People are now seeing that Serbia, especially Serbia, is the main. I think no, I will not be humble. Serbia is the loudest anti-globalistic state in Europe, and it doesn't matter who is ruling, who is a president or who is a prime minister, because they have power when it comes to money, but they don't have power when it comes to people. And people here are living better. That's for sure. That globalization came at the part of the time when we started working from home, online jobs, programming, IT, that kind of stuff, and people here have money and still telling what they are thinking of. So when the Western corporations and Western politicians talk to us about censorship, about censoring because China is not free, North Korea, you cannot talk, you cannot tell what you want. But we have the same stuff here. We have the same stuff with Google. We have same stuff on YouTube. We are talking now, but every serious talk, you have to think, oh my God, they are going to, ban me, or they are going to, I don't know, demonetize my channel. Demonetize it. They can. I told them from the YouTube, demonetize my channel. I didn't earn a penny from you guys. This is Balkans. People pay less for the ads. I don't do this. This for sure. You are thinking the same. I don't do this for money. I do this for the new revolution of normal mind people who are trying to make a change, and to bring the world, if not the world to be free, then to bring the world to that kind of I don't know, to bring the people to be free in one part of the world, and the other who want to I don't know, listen to Biden and Hillary or Schultz or Macron. They can live in that world, new China world, with democracy. I don't know. It's democracy as a chocolate on the ice cream. That kind of stuff. It's crazy. But Serbians, they are not, and also in Croatians, their Croatians are really show their true faces now since the COVID hysteria started. They also went to the streets, and we had a good communication. It was basically like a war, and I am glad because a lot of Croatian traditional people, as somebody called nationalists, and Serbian nationalists are on the same page. Same page. We had a war, yeah, but now they're trying to put our children in the schools when we're going to have some men dressed up as women to come and teach them. We have the same goals. We don't want that. So I think we are getting all of the Balkan countries are getting the picture of the real enemy who tried to destroy us by dismantling a country called Yugoslavia and make us some kind of modern type of slaves. But the genetics here are totally different than the genetics from the West and from the East. We are wild. We are wild people. We don't like someone telling us what to do. When they say to us, you have to be in lockdown. No, we don't have to be in lockdown. When they say you cannot smoke, yes, I can smoke. You have that kind of genes, that kind of DNA in yourself. You cannot.
Thank you for pointing that out, because here in Mexico, and I've been talking about this during COVID, I was one of the few people speaking out. Like in my Mexican community, we live in a gated community. And I remember during COVID, 50 of my Mexican neighbors all came, and it wasn't mandatory for the meeting of the neighbors. 50. They all wore a mask except for me, the Croatian guy. And just like you say, Serbs, Croatians, and the Balkans, I'm like, I'm the crazy Croatian here in Mexico saying, this is tyranny. And here, in other parts of the world, they haven't experienced what we have, the fascism, the communism. And I think for Serbs, Croats, Bosnians, whatever, in a second, we smell that tyranny in 1 second. And in other regions of the world, they don't have this genetic, history. And so, for me, it was an experience. But and I agree with what you're saying. I think it's also, you guys have Djokovic to be proud of, this man who stood against all of this evil, and in spite of that, he succeeded. And we need more people like this. And I did want to ask you, one of my biggest fears now going forward is what one of my past guests, the renowned historian Edwin Black, calls the algorithm ghetto. Right? This digital ID, cashless system, these digital passports, they're still working on this. The EU is still working on this. The WHO, even here in Mexico, we're seeing this. They're trying to push us to get rid of cash. They're bringing in surveillance. In a system like that, if you don't do what your government says, which is controlled by the corporations, they just shut you off. You can't buy nothing. You can't sell. You can't drive a car, you can't get on a plane. What are your thoughts about this? Do you think if they tried to install this in Serbia, it would succeed or fail? Your further thoughts on this sort of technology?
Okay. I understand that. That's one of the. I think in every podcast of mine, I'm talking about that with my guests, because those are the main goals of technocracy, that agenda, as we say, agenda 2030, and then we have digitalization, or digital money, or digital ID, and we have climate crisis. Yes, and I think one more goal. It's about health and that kind of viruses and stuff. So the globalists or elite, or that one global government can get to that goal that they have, and that's the one world government. That's the United Nations. United Nations is like a test. As I look at the UN, I don't see that UN does anything except telling people that they're going to die from climate crisis. They're going to die if the cow farts and stuff like that. Greta Thunberg and those kind of freaks. But I think that I saw now in Switzerland that some politicians are calling for a referendum on digital cash. I will see how that goes there, but in Europe, the north of Europe, Sweden and Norway, guys, they put chips in their hands. It's not any kind of conspiracy theory. They are going freely and choosing to have chip built in their hand, so they can buy Coke, so they can buy stuff in shops. Some people will accept that and go even further than digital ID and money, because they think it's more simpler, because they think it's more easy than to have cash. But I don't know if they know those guys from Davos or Klaus Schwab and the crazy crew and people like from that city and from the World Economic Forum, that kind of organization. They know that people. It's not only Balkans, Eastern Europe, Polish people, they reject all the stuff from Davos, from Klaus Schwab. They're rejecting it more than Russians, for example. You have CCTV cameras with facial recognition in Moscow metros. You have it in Belarus, in Minsk. You have shops without cashier. And that is okay. They have the right to put that shops and that kind of stuff in people. If want to go to that shop, they can go, and they don't have to have any communication with cashiers. When it comes to facial recognition, when it comes to digital ID, when it comes to those kind of stuff, I think they will need 200 years to do that here. And I don't know what kind of fear will they put through the propaganda, so people will say, okay, you are right, we are going to take those digital IDs, so we are going to be safe. I don't know what, because people here at Balkans don't know how to connect their cards with PayPal. When I say to people, okay, can I get some? If you want, you can donate my channel. I don't have any donations, man, because people they call me. I can send you with mail, I can send you money, with mail. Can we meet? I will give you. People are not connected in that way. They know that they're literal. They know how it works, but they just don't want to connect their account to some cloud. And I don't know what kind of fear they will put here, and are we going to die from something, and I don't know what, so they can get that kind of stuff here. And the politicians want that. They're doing that. In Belgrade, they have opened a campus called BO4, campus for biodiversity, biotechnology. Pfizer opened a headquarters there. AstraZeneca opened a headquarters there. Moderna, I don't know what kind of pharmaceutical mafia opened their headquarters there, but I think it's the best that they can do. They cannot go further than that. They will have 5 to 10% of people who are going to support that, 15%, and those supporters will be, that woke crew, like they have in the United States. We have it also here, but the rest of the people will just say no and the cash here is still good. We are still buying on the markets. We are still buying from the friends. I go to buy cheese. I use my cards. I'm not against cards. I use my cards when I don't have cash. But cash is flowing here. And whatever they do for now, they cannot take away the cash from Serbia. Basically because it's dinar, because we have our own currency. Politicians, again, they want that, but we have something here in our DNA that even if they accept and make a deal with the globalists, you can beep this if you want, but they fucked up every time. They fuck it up. They something happens and they don't do what they said that they were going to do. And somebody will say that's a curse, but I think that's a good thing.
I think that is good news. So I like how you say it'll take them 200 years.
Yeah,
I hope so. And maybe to turn a bit geopolitical, for 20 years, I've been wondering about the decline of American empire. I've had on guests like Johan Galtung and cultural historian Morris Berman, who wrote a trilogy on the collapse of American empire. And it seems like in the West, as you said, the American dream is finished. My parents from Croatia came in the 80s with not even speaking English. And they were able to become middle class, successful, no problems. If you go today, not even for Americans today. Average Americans who do everything they're supposed to, go to college, they can't even afford a house. They're going to be forever renting. And but the American empire, I feel like it's declining. The economy is collapsing. Tyranny is rising in the West, and then war. Right. Usually, the culture is degenerating. And then we've got the situation. I view all of the things going on now as part of a single thread. Like we've got this global crisis with multiple fronts. So you've got Ukraine, which is basically Brussels, London, Washington, NATO proxy war on Russia to dismember, deconstruct, defang, as Putin once said, defang Russia. And then you've got in the Middle East, Israel, Palestine, and then they want to open up another front in China, Taiwan. Well, what's sort of your assessment of the war situation and what's going on?
Yeah, when the war started in Ukraine, a lot of people here gave their kind of prophecies. When it's going to end, how it's going to end, who is going to win, who is going to blah blah blah. You had the hardcore pro-Russians who told that Russia is going to come to Danube to take Berlin and to take Paris and stuff. And then you had those kind of comedy guys who told that Moscow is going to fall. And nothing of that happened. The reality here is as it was from the beginning, and as I told people from the beginning, the war can last until the new campaign for a president in the United States starts. War is not popular, especially when you're funneling the money and the loads and the tons and billions of dollars to Ukraine, and your people are dying on the streets from hunger, from fentanyl, from USA has the highest number of homeless people in the world. You cannot. Sri Lanka doesn't have what USA has. That California, those Democrat states, totally. That's the crazy stuff. I don't know if how people live there, but USA has lost already the respect. Even if people don't love USA, because we should say, maybe people don't know, but Serbia is the only Christian country of Christians, Orthodox Christians, which was bombed by USA, because we fought and Islamistic terrorists on Kosovo and Metohija. So I think that's the start of the World War III, that year 99. They always choose a number, a symbolic number. And I think that year 99, they have opened the gates of hell. Washington opened the gates of hell, and now that hell is getting back to them. And as we see, the current administration in Washington is the same administration that bombed Serbia. Joseph Biden said that Serbians should be locked up in cages because we are crazy and we did a lot of atrocities and stuff. And we know about Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, and we know all the stories about them. And I feel sorry for people who they call friends, because the people who Clinton call friends, they finish really fast, hanging from the tree and stuff like that. So I think that Zelensky is finished. I'm feeling sorry for him, because I think he's getting crazy more and more every day. And as I said in the beginning, Russians are not going to kill Zelensky or imprison him. The Ukrainians are going to do that. That is why he postponed and stopped the election process. We are talking about democracy, but now there is no democracy in Ukraine. Where are the elections? His closest people, advisors, generals, and others are going to put him behind bars if he doesn't escape first to Egypt, to that famous villa that his mother bought for 5 million euros while the Ukrainians are dying in the front. And I think that USA, if USA wants to not to lose everything that it has, it's going to make a deal with Russia and to cut Ukraine by the river of Dnipro, or how is it said, Dnieper. They're going to put it in half, and they're going to, I don't know if Hungary is going to ask for a territory, if Romania is going to ask for a territory, if Poland is going to ask for a territory, but Ukraine lost, Zelensky lost, George Soros lost, all the investment money of BlackRock and other corporations lost. That's about Ukraine. When it comes to Israel and Gaza and Palestine, it's the crazy stuff. I lived there for 4 years. I lived in Israel. I worked there, and it's also a controlled state. Every move is followed. There is police and army on every corner, and it's the deeply divided society. People say, Jewish people, they are together. No, they are not. You have secular people, you have Orthodox. Those Orthodox have few organizations. Somebody calls it sects or cults, who are more radical or less radical, and you have non-believers. You have basically the world headquarters of LGBTQ is in Tel Aviv. So, and also a lot of drug addicts and trance music, everything came from Tel Aviv. From the other side, you have Palestinians who are also divided to two parties. We have Hamas here, we have Arafat party in West Bank. So I still cannot get behind the true story about starting that attack on October the 7th. And for me, since the 9/11, everything smells really bad. For me, I'm not saying that it was it is some kind of Hollywood production, but who is holding Hollywood. The best movie makers are from the Jewish population. Nothing without them, and thank them very much for good movies. But people there are dying at Gaza, and but I see the propaganda from the Palestinian side a lot. I see a lot of that propaganda, and I'm going back to war in Kosovo and Metohija, and I remember the propaganda from Albanians who were terrorists. But that USA and the Western world looked at UČK, or the Kosovo Albanian army, as a terroristic organization, firstly, and then they changed their minds. Maybe they will change their minds when it comes to Hamas. But people are dying there, and I think there's a bigger picture, and of course,
do you think this? Do you think this bigger?
I'm going to finish. Okay. And if we look at the money trail and who established Hamas, then we should say that it was MI6, and it was London, and it was Tel Aviv who made that organization so they can get rid of Yasser Arafat. So I cannot see what is going to. I am not a prophet. I cannot say what's going to happen, but right now I see that Palestinians are having more stronger propaganda than the Israelis or the Jews, and you cannot believe it. Everybody thought the Jews are going to have the propaganda, they have the machinery, they have the money, but as I see the Palestinians are holding up that propaganda too. So I don't know the answer to what's going to happen next.
Yeah, I was just going to add my biggest fear regarding, just to add, I feel like the West could use this situation, Washington, Tel Aviv, for war with Iran, because we know the Pentagon has wanted that. You think that's a possibility? They could expand this situation to go against Iran?
No. If we have Israel, which is fighting organization from the tunnels that have, also we should say that a lot of Hamas terrorists have Western made guns. So I don't know where they came from, but I know it came from Ukraine, from the dark market. And if Israel cannot fight against Hamas more efficiently, but they're killing civilians, I don't know what can they do against Iran, and also USA. What can do Iran? I don't know if people know, but Iran has the most educated population. It is not a jungle. It is not Afghanistan. Those are not Taliban. Those are intellectuals, scientists. Iran is maybe they are not a rich country, so they have Coca-Cola and McDonald's, but they don't need to have that to live that their kind of life. Iran is not a country that USA can make any type of conflict right now. If USA cannot have any kind of conflict with North Korea, and trust me, North Korea is not bluffing. North Korea is small for USA. They could finish it if Kim Jong-un was telling lies that he has warheads, nuclear warheads that can fly to San Francisco or to California or to Gavin Newsom home to hit him. But maybe it would be a good idea. But those countries are not bluffing. The Arab countries became too powerful. That those are the richest countries in the world, holding the biggest capital in the world. Those are not the Arab countries from the 70s and from the 80s. This is the countries that are holding all the oil fields in the world. With oil fields, they're holding the pharmacy, they're holding the IT, they're holding the science, they're holding everything. Israel is not in a good situation right now. With Israel, the USA is not in a good situation. That's why I'm thinking that USA is with Anthony Blinken and Joe Biden calling for a ceasefire. is backing off, slowly backing off. Nobody is going to let Israel be wiped out, but I think that USA cannot manage to defend Israel from all the Arab countries, especially Iran or Syria or Lebanon, because they have fighters who fought last 20 years, the veterans. Why USA lost in Vietnam? Because they had veterans who fought last 100 years against French colonists, against this or those or English. They had training, and people from USA, the army in USA are army because they don't have a job, and they go to the army to have something to eat and to have a regular income. They don't have any kind of ideology in themselves to fight off, to fight for some cause. It's not the World War II, so the USA Marine is going to go to France and liberate the Western Europe. This is totally different picture. And also in US Army, I don't see there a lot of Americans there. Or every other US Marine is Cortez, Gomez, the people from Mexico. Am I right?
Well, a lot of migrants are coming in now. They're saying, you'll get citizenship if you become a soldier. There's the woke stuff, the wokeism in the military.
Yeah.
And let me ask you about another flashpoint. I'm a fan of the Croatian Admiral Davor Domazet-Lošo. In fact, if they can see in the frame, I got his book up there. And he was talking about the Albania Kosovo situation. I've been following Milorad Dodik of Republika Srpska for a while. He's been open, saying how Soros is moving in to start stuff again in the Kosovo, Serbia, Bosnia region. That's what Domazet-Lošo has said. That one of his theories is that they want to create chaos there to prevent the Chinese Belt and Road from coming through, but for other reasons. And then just yesterday in a Croatian newspaper, I read that Milorad Dodik was talking about Republika Srpska. That's that Republika Srpska portion of Bosnia becoming independent, and then even saying Herceg Bosna, the western portion of Bosnia, becoming independent. And so, what's sort of your assessment of what's going on between Serbia, Kosovo can be an explosive event, and then what Milorad Dodik as well. Just your thoughts on what's going on here.
I understand the question. Yeah, maybe viewers should know that Serbian guy killed Austrian prince, in 1914, as then and started the World War I. Yeah, we are crazy when they say crazy Serbs again. Now Dodik talks about independence last 15 years, and he's always been using that rhetoric, that narrative when he has a personal fight with someone from European Union or from Germany, because Serbs and Croatians and Muslims in Bosnia are underneath the colonial rule of European Union. I think that people there know that Bosnia and Herzegovina can't last forever, but I think that those people had war for 4 years there, and I hope that they are not ready for a new kind of war there. And I hope that if some kind of independence starts more wider, if it goes more wider, that people will ask for independence in peace, as Montenegro got its independence, as Slovakia and Czech Republic got the independence, and they didn't have any war. Soviet Union didn't have any war when it was dismantled or dismembered, or how do you say it? But it's a good idea that Dodik have said, but only if it is achievable through peace. If not, then I see again a clause from London or Washington, and the other countries from the world who have interests, not only USA or England, but there can be a lot of interest from the other countries. But again, I think that people are not ready. It is 30 years have passed since the bloody war, and I don't think that they are ready to die again and to kill their neighbors. Especially when we see that in the world, you know why I say if somebody wants the war, there it is the Western country, because Western countries, because it is we haven't seen for the long time that Muslims and Christians made a pact, some kind of pact, and we see that in a way of defending our families from the LGBTQ movement and the politics. We see that Russians are involved. Russians are in war with Ukraine, and they have on their side the Chechens. The most radical Islamists are on the side of Christians. Chechens are jihad, They're not some kind of Muslims who eat pork and drink alcohol. No, they're hardcore, and they're in the same row with at the same front with Russians against Western proxies and the others. And we see also during the COVID era that the Muslim countries rejected also that kind of lockdowns here at Balkans. In Bosnia, nobody took the shot. Nobody. In the parts of Serbia where there is Muslim majority, they said to them, you cannot go to the cafe after 8 o'clock. That didn't happen. People walk freely. So if achievable through peace, it's a good idea. If I notice some kind of hatred and war kind of talk, I would say that West is behind it, because but again, they have invested so much in ruining this region of Europe, and they have failed. And if they want to do it again, I think it will be the last time that they try to do that, because we have examples from European Union such as Hungary. We have Orban, we have Fico from Slovakia, who are the members of European Union, but they are not in European. They're everything, but they are not in European Union. We have Zoran Milanovic from Croatia. He can say maybe he drinks a little bit more, and then he said more. He's more free to talk than Plenković. But Zoran Milanovic is a good example of collaboration between Dodik and Milanovic. If we can have peace, if we can have deal with Croats and Serbs, that's the world peace. That's the peace in the world. If we can get along and get a part of the country or independence and not go to war, that's the peace for this region. We are, as we say here in Serbia, prešli smo igricu. We have finished the game. The game is finished, and we are the winners. So maybe in some kind of bad things, not maybe, but every time when something bad happens, something good happens also. And this, I know about Mr. Losho, and I know that he's an anti-globalist, and maybe in the future I would like to also do a podcast with him. And that's the good stuff that I'm seeing from, as I said, from the Serbian side and from Croatian side. There is a lot of things. There is a lot of work in that field. But as we right now, me, you and me, we are doing something that people couldn't imagine that it would be possible 30 years ago, and you're a proud Croatian, I'm a proud Serbian, so that there's nothing better than that,
Yeah,
we are both anti-globalists. That's the point.
Yeah, and I've always viewed, some Croatians might get angry, but others no. I mean, for me, Serbs, Croats, Bosnians, I felt like we're all the we speak effectively the same language, the same culture. Back in May, I was at a Serbian event with Colonel Douglas McGregor, and the Serbs served janjetina, all the same food that we eat in Croatia, and rakia and šljivovica, and it's just, I feel like I'm back in Croatia, and I just felt like, if you go back further enough in history, Slavs are this one big group: Russians, Serbs, Croats, and then we broke off over time, and that's just how I see it. And then I hate. Who's got time for it? Just more energy to hate people than loving your neighbor. And any final thoughts? Any other final thoughts on the future? And anything else?
When it comes to future, for me, people should look now. Excuse me. People should look more to Washington and to the campaign that is going to start. It started basically, and as we have learned, I'm afraid that something bad is going to happen in USA. It has to happen. The deep state is not going to let Donald Trump go by easily, and we see it. And it didn't start it even. Last time we had the mobs, we have the war on the streets with Black Lives Matter. We had COVID, and I don't know what they have made up this time for these elections. I'm afraid that every person that I have talked with, we are just asking questions when the civil war is going to start in USA. USA is full of arms. Everybody has arms. You have Antifa from the one side. You have the Proud Boys from the other side. I'm just giving the examples. You have the armies, paramilitary activity in United States. And I'm not saying anything bad about guns. You know that Serbia is the third country with the most guns. Well, Montenegro is second. First is USA when you compare it to the number of people living in the country. I would suggest to people to look clearly to Washington and to deep state, and to follow up what is going there and what is going to happen there. USA is not going to have enough time and money to continue the war in Ukraine. As I will say it again, it's the end for Kokoinski, and I think that basically only USA is going to be in my interest more now in my podcasts with my guests, to follow up all the things that are happening in around the Federation or United States. So I'm not afraid of the future. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't talk about everything if I was afraid that I was talking that they're going to eat our eyes, they're going to eat us alive, the technocrats are going to win or something. They're not going to win. There's no chance that they're going to win. But some people are going to fall for the plans. That's the nature of people. And one thing I would like to finish with is when they come with a plan, that they come and say to you, you're not going to owe anything. You're not going to owe any money to any bank. You're not going to owe any money to any company. You're going to be free. You're going to have everything. There's not going to be wars in the world. There's going to be a peace. Whole world is going to be in peace. We're going to live more. We're going to live in flowers. We're going to sing love songs. We are going to live like in a fairy tale. That's the time that I'm afraid of, because that means that they have won. Wars will happen. They happen through the history. Wars will happen. People are going to live differently. somebody will have money, somebody will not. Then that guy who doesn't have money, he's going to work more, he's going to earn money. That's the life, This life is a card for that eternal, life. If we look at this as an only life that we have, and after this life we're not going to go to heaven or in hell, then okay, you can be an ass and you can put up 3 masks and get your 6 shots so you can live. But when you know that after this life you are going to have eternal life, then you are not afraid of future.
You couldn't have said it any better. I'm not afraid of the future. That's and I feel the same way. I think that's what you mentioned earlier, the Balkan genetics. We don't care. We'll say no, even if it means certain death. And so, fantastic chat, Mario. I follow your stuff. Obviously, for people who speak Croatian or Bosnian or Serbian or whatever you want to call it, that people who speak the language can follow your podcast. You've also got a website, Nulta Tačka.rs, and even for people who don't speak Serbian, this is what I do with foreign languages. I bookmark foreign websites and Google Translate. Now the browser itself shows the automatic translation, and that's a good way to get information from we have to go to different countries, Serbia, Croatia, to get the alternative perspective. So anything else you want to tell us about how we can follow you, your podcast and websites?
Right now I forgot about it. I'm like crazy, and I was preparing to tell it in your show. I have started one project. It's a global project, and it has a name, Global Dissident. And right now we are working on a website. It's globaldissident.tv, but we are going to get involved on X, on Telegram, and it's going to be on English language. It's going to be for English-speaking population. So that will be, from my side, my hope, and from people people that are around me to try and not tell a Serbian story to Americans, no, but we're going to get involved directly into a Western media war, because we and I see huge censorship. For me in Serbian language, it's more easier to work because the algorithm doesn't understand Serbian so good. But from English perspective, that's a China on global platforms such as YouTube and the other platforms. So we are going to get in that mud, media mud, with Global Dissident project, and I think that people are going to see it and recognize it as a serious news portal or website that they can find more information that they can find on American websites, because we are here in Europe and a lot of things are happening here that can prove to Americans and to the Western world that roses are not blooming in Brussels. And the darkness has fallen, but it is like that, when Rio Grande and Mexican border in USA, migration here in Europe, it's crazy. That Albania made a deal with Italy to accept 36,000 migrants yearly to Albania. You know what that means? That means that they are neighbors. And we have the project from our government made a project with Soros, which is called Open Balkans, and everybody can travel free from Albania to Serbia and Macedonia and North Macedonia. So those migrants can come to Serbia tomorrow, And I think that project will help a lot of people who are searching for a good and real informations which are forbidden in mainstream media. And I hope, and I'm for sure that you are going to help me, and your show is going to help me for sure to get into the trends and to see what people are looking for.
I look forward to Global Dissidents and the work that you're doing. Hopefully one of these days, one of these years, maybe we meet in Belgrade for some Šljivovica and Cevapi and Janjetina. But keep up the great work, Mario, and thank you for being on Geopolitics and Empire.
Hey, thank you, Hrvoje. Thank you very much. Really, it was a joy.
I hope you enjoyed this Geopolitics and Empire podcast. The website is geopoliticsandempire.com, and I encourage you to sign up for the free email list that goes out with each podcast and every weekend with a collection of news headlines. The newsletter and website are our last lines of defense. We're being censored and deplatformed. It's nearly impossible to find Geopolitics and Empire on the Google search engine. We've been blacklisted. YouTube frequently takes down our videos with strikes. Facebook restricts our page. Reddit and Twitter take down posts. And after the Associated Press mentioned Geopolitics and Empire in a 2021 article co-written with NATO, our Patreon account was terminated. Vimeo also terminated our Pro account. The best free way to help Geopolitics and Empire is to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or elsewhere and subscribe to all of our media channels. You can find the video broadcast now on 5 platforms: Odyssey, Rockfin, Rumble, BitChute, and Brighteon. You can find the audio broadcast on the podcast ecosystem: SoundCloud, Apple, Spotify, and so on. My current favorite social media channels are Twitter and Telegram, but you can also find us on Gab, MeWe, Minds, Float, VK, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Finally, Geopolitics and Empire is in dire need of funding to continue. You can leave a donation, purchase a consultation with the host, or become a member to receive additional benefits. We also produce a weekly broadcast called Dissident Thinker for members and Rockfin subscribers only. We will continue to fight the good fight come hell or high water. Thank you for listening.